Why is there so much hate between Israel and Palestine? These are people who live in the same community, they have intermarried each other, but why is it that they still have conflicts that have existed for ages? This is not something that has started yesterday or today. These are conflicts that have been there for ages, right from the Old Testament and biblical times. So today in this video, I'm going to take you through a journey from the biblical understanding of their conflict. I bring you step by step up to date, and we find out where the hatred started from, or the origin of their hatred. Keep tuned, let's dive into the video. A long time ago, in a land that many today call the Middle East, there were two brothers from the same family, and that was Isaac and Ishmael. According to the Bible, both were sons of a man named Abraham, a figure deeply respected by Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Abraham was promised by God that his descendants would grow into great nations. However, here is where the story takes a complicated turn. Isaac, Abraham's son with his wife Sarah, was seen as the child through whom this promise would be fulfilled. Meanwhile, Ishmael, Abraham's son with Sarah's servant Hagar, was also blessed by God, but was destined to lead a different path. Isaac's descendants became the Israelites, associated with Judaism, while Ishmael's descendants are often linked to the Arab people, many of whom follow Islam. Over time, these groups grew into distinct nations with their own beliefs, customs, and lands. The tension between them wasn't immediate, but seeds of misunderstanding and rivalry had been planted. The Israelites believed that a land called Canaan, present-day Israel and Palestine, was promised to them by God. This belief is written in the Bible, but over time they settled there and built cities, including a very special one called Jerusalem. But this land was also home to many other groups of people, including the Philistines, from whom Palestine gets its name, and other ancient cultures. Everyone wanted this land because it was very fertile and it had sat on crossroads of major trade routes. The Israelites ruled the land for a while, but big empires like the Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans came and took control. During the Roman times, many Jews, the ones you can call descendants of the Israelites, were forced to leave their homeland in an event called the diaspora. They spread out across the world, but they always remembered and prayed for their homeland. Meanwhile, new religions were born, Christianity came out of Judaism, and later Islam emerged. Muslims also considered Jerusalem holy because they believed that Prophet Muhammad visited there during a miraculous journey, so now the land became sacred to Jews, Christians, and Muslims. After the Romans, the land changed hands so many times. Eventually, Muslim rulers, including the Ottoman Empire, controlled it for hundreds of years. During this time, Jews, Christians, and Muslims lived together in harmony, intermarried each other. Sometimes they got along, but other times there was tension. In the late 1800s, many Jews in Europe faced severe discrimination. They dreamt of returning to their ancient homeland to create a safe place for themselves, and this movement was called Zionism. At the same time, the people living in the land by that time, mostly Arabs who were Muslims or Christian, had been there for generations and considered it their homeland. After World War I, the Ottoman Empire collapsed, and Britain took control of the land, now called Palestine. Britain promised to help Jews establish a homeland there in what we can call the Balfour Declaration of 1917, but also promised to respect the rights of the Arab population, something that created confusion and anger on both sides. During World War II, the Holocaust killed millions of Jews, approximately 6 million. This tragedy intensified the push for a Jewish homeland, and in 1947, the United Nations promised splitting Palestine into two parts, one for Jews, or Israel, and one for Arabs, which is Palestine. But the Arab nations rejected this plan, arguing it was unfair to the people already living there. In 1948, Israel declared itself a state. This sparked a war between Israel and neighboring Arab countries. Israel won and took control of much of the land, while many Palestinians were forced to flee or were expelled from their homes. This created a refugee crisis and deep resentment. Since then, there have been wars, war after war, uprisings, and peace talks, but the core issue remains. Two groups, each with deep historical and emotional ties, claim the same land as their own. Israelites, mostly Jews, see Israel as their safe homeland, especially after centuries of persecution, whereas the Palestinians, mostly Arabs, Muslim or Christians, see it as the land where they have lived for generations and want independence. The fight is about land, history, religion, and identity, all tangled up together. Both sides feel they have suffered greatly, and trust is very low. Some people on both sides want peace, but finding an agreement that satisfies everyone has been incredibly difficult. Today, Israel controls most of the land, but Palestinians live in two main areas, and that is Gaza and the West Bank. Many Palestinians feel oppressed and want their own state, while many Israelites feel constantly under threat from attacks. The cycle of violence and mistrust continues, fueled by politics, fear, and history. Well, it's a complicated story with no simple solution. But many people around the world hope for a day when Israel and Palestine can find a way to share the land peacefully. Thank you so much for watching me. Hopefully, one day, Israel and Palestine, they can live in harmony like they used to back then. Thank you.